Hey everyone, Joey Philippi here from Truly Confident Women. Today I had a great conversation with a woman named Hanssie. She is a writer, an editor, photographer, and blogger. The neatest thing about her, though, is that she gets really honest with me about going through a divorce, being a single mom, what it's like to get back in the dating world after going through a divorce, and how all of this has affected her confidence. It's an awesome conversation. I'm super excited to share it with you, and I hope you enjoy it. Start by telling me what you believe a confident woman looks like.
Well, a confident woman is beautiful. I mean, her beauty radiates from within, and so it's not something that you can do through makeup or hair or whatever. But it kind of just shines out through her eyes, her smile, her posture.
Mm-hmm.
She glows because she knows who she is, what she stands for, and she's comfortable, with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. It's interesting how in society beauty has become such a superficial physical thing when that's actually something that explains things way deeper than skin. So that's cool
I
how
agree.
you bring that out. I think that's a good point for sure. Nancy, growing up, was there any great advice you received that changed the outlook of your life or current situation?
Um, well, the best advice I've ever received was right after my divorce. I was 34. So about 4 years ago, I was talking to a friend, and it's more like I was whining to
Yeah.
a friend about my current situation, and he just kind of stops and looks at me and says, "Hansie, you've got to stop being a victim." I mean, until then, I actually had no idea that that was even a thing or what
Right.
that meant. But, I figured it was my right to talk about how, he did this to me and how he was to blame and all this. And so it wasn't until my friend pointed it out that I was not powerless and I needed to take responsibility for my part, my actions, and not let the circumstances in my life debilitate me. That I finally opened my eyes and was able to move on and move forward.
Do you remember any of those first steps? Like, I mean, obviously he kind of like punches you in the face, like not really, but like, whoa, wake up. And then like, what was like? So now you realize this. What was some of the things that you go, okay, I gotta knock this shit off. Like, what do I gotta do? Do you remember, or do you just?
Um, for the longest time, I really just put one foot in front of the other to
Mm-hmm.
survive.
Mm-hmm.
And so to actually realize that I have the power to do something about it, I don't have to just go through life and, you
Totally.
know, trying to be like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Um, I was just able to, just surround myself with people that were able to encourage me and propel me forward on the days that I couldn't do it myself. And, on the days I felt good, it was like, all right, well, what can I read? What can I listen to? What can I do to, meditate on to grow and move forward?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, because sometimes there's these moments, yeah, like that, and you're like, okay, well, now I need to figure out what to do. And sometimes just one foot in front of the other is like the biggest triumph ever.
right.
Yeah, which I think women were the worst at is even giving us credit for that part. Like, well, what have I accomplished today? What have I achieved? What have I done? It's like you didn't fail today. You like decided to get up and get dressed and face the world. And sometimes that's the biggest fight ever.
Right.
So, that's awesome. Are you still friends with him?
My ex or my friend?
No, your friend, the one that like the one
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 No, I meant that. Yeah.
I'm like, my ex, well,
We talk when we hand the daughter off. That's what we do.
exactly.
uh, what are some key moments in your life or a key moment that you believe created your confidence you have today, Hansie?
Well, I think, like a lot of people, I had to hit rock bottom
Mm-hmm.
before I could figure out, what the heck was going on. The catalyst really was when I found out my now ex-husband had cheated on me a third time and had developed an 18-month relationship with our
Oh my gosh.
babysitter. And so that was the moment I finally stood up. It was like a switch, it was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm better than this. And so I left.
which is awesome and could give you like huge props because it's not easy. Like people love to judge the outside of every story, right? Like, well, you should have done this, and how dare you, and why did you victimize yourself? Whatever, like. But no one
Right.
knows what it's like to live inside the wall of a relationship besides those two people. Plus, it's so much harder than just to say, okay, whatever you've invested in, the love, the time, the memories, it doesn't worth it. Like you need to leave. Like that's not an easy thing. I'm sure I can only fathom the idea of like being in that scenario and you being like, I'm in one of these movies. Like this is not happening. Like
Right.
how is it? This can't be happening to me. Like I hear about these when I randomly read stuff on Facebook that you believe never really happened. Like so, yeah, I can only I mean, I can't actually grasp, but just like the idea of like what that would be like when you're like, this is it. Like, I've just experienced like when I was in a relationship for a short period of time that was turning into being this unhealthy relationship and realized I had this moment where I was like, he is verbally and emotionally abusive. Like I'm like, what? How did I get here? I'm too smart for this shit. Like what?
Right.
And
Right.
and then just being like, nope, I have to be done. But that doesn't make it easy. Like it's still really hard.
No, it's definitely not easy. I mean, it's interesting because it felt very freeing when I
Right.
made that decision, and then it was like, oh my gosh, what did I do?
Yeah.
Like, my life is gonna be so different now. So
Yeah, I feel like it'd be like that moment of if you like had wings and you jumped off a cliff, like that would be that first second would be like, oh, I'm so
yeah,
powerful, and then you're like, shit, I don't know how to fly, and you're just like,
it.
yeah, yeah. Oh man. Uh, what advice would you like to pass down to the next generation of women?
um, be kind to people and be grateful every day. Like simple, but I feel like those two things people just don't practice anymore. And it's
Yeah,
so important. I mean, even with just what's going on, yesterday
I
and
know.
just around the world, it's like be kind, be grateful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if you are, but I'm a huge fan of Ellen DeGeneres
Hmm.
and love how, that's her slogan, be kind to one another. And she says at the end of every show. And it's not even, I mean, yes, it's a catchphrase and things like that. But what you're saying, it's like, it's such a powerful thing just when you're nice to people and how
Hmm.
much it empowers you in your day when, like, some stranger is nice to me. It makes me feel great. And it takes so much less effort, I feel like, than to be mean. But yet, why don't we do it more? I don't know.
Right. Right.
Yeah. How do you look, or who, sorry, do you look up to as a confident woman or a few key women in your life and why? And then how did this person or people influence you becoming a confident woman today, Hansie?
Um, well, I've always looked up to my mom, so I don't know if that's
It's
whatever
okay.
the answer everyone gives,
Nope, it's not,
but
but it's
okay, well,
common, which is awesome, but it's not every answer, so that's great.
yeah,
It's the truth, so that's the better part. That's what I want. So,
yeah, I mean, I just came back from a 2-week trip to China with her, and I mean,
oh,
it just reminds me every day. She's such a woman of strength. Like, she's a go-getter. She and my dad moved us to America when I was 3.
okay.
My dad didn't speak the language. My mom kind of spoke the language a little bit. And since then, they've opened 2 businesses. She's just totally fearless in the way she talks to people, interacts with people, and just, puts herself out there to get what she wants. And she just, watching her bargain with shop owners, and it's just like, I'm going to pay this price. Here's
Yeah.
the money, leaving with the stuff. And I'm just like, Mom, you can't do that, and
She's
she's,
like, watch
um,
me.
yeah, exactly. And just, even asking for direction, she's does what she pleases. I'm in the corner like, no, 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 I'm just going to try to find Wi-Fi so I can find Google Maps and we don't have to bother anyone. And she's like, no, I'm just going to ask that guy right there. Like, he's a stranger. So, I mean, her example, of course, has really influenced me. Um, but even before that, I mean, just her expectation
Hmm.
from me, um, she expects the same from me. I'm totally a people pleaser. I want to live up to people's expectations. And so, it's like, oh my gosh, I want to please you, but this is scary. But, watching her as an example and knowing that she expects me to be strong too is a good catalyst to
Yeah, it
today.
challenges you. Obviously, she sounds like a fearless, like firecracker, obviously. And then,
She's crazy.
so then you have that when you're like, Mom, I can't believe this. Or like, you'll probably tell her a story and she's like, they're taking advantage of you. Why are you dealing with that?
Yeah,
And you're like, but
handle it.
Mom. And she's like, no, you need to cut them out or
Yeah,
whatever, fill in
yeah,
the blank. Man,
hardcore.
and
Yeah.
just yeah, can you just believe like I mean I'm 33 and the idea of that you hear about some of these like your parents and other immigrants that have come over and they didn't speak the language and they're doing this stuff like in their 20s or teens. Like my boyfriend's grandfather came over from the Basque Country from France at like 16 or 18, didn't know the language, packed a suitcase, that was it. I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm brave enough for that. It's just
Yeah.
so crazy and be like, this is what we're going to do. But I mean, I hope that if I had that passion for that, like I do for my business, I would continue to do that for my mission. But I don't know. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I agree.
So what made them this? I mean, is it just they wanted a better life and this was an opportunity or?
My dad wanted to be here. I mean, his uncles were here, and
Okay.
so he figured that he could make us a better life. Things in Taiwan where we were, I mean, they're crowded, and it's just, so he came and visited and one day decided, yeah, let's go. So there we go.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Taiwan's on the list. My boyfriend has been and actually he's gone a couple times. He spent like a month fighting training in a Thai gym there, and he loves it. So I mean, he says that the country's great. So that's cool.
Yeah, the food there is really good.
Yeah, that's what he says. He goes, it's expensive to get there, but afterwards it's really cheap. And he's like, it's some of the best food I've ever eaten in my whole life. And so, yeah, it sounds. I'm liking the idea of living on a beach for a while for not very much. It sounds pretty cool. What obstacles do you believe exist today that interfere with women's confidence?
Two big things I can think of right off the top of my head. One would be social media. Social media gives us this super filtered, glamorized version of the world, and it's like we see the Instagram stars and celebrities posting about their lives, and we try to live up to that. And it's like we know in our heads that it's over photoshopped, filtered. Right. It's not real. People show only what they want to show on social media, but we still try to live up to that standard where it's like it's perfect, quote unquote, and we can't compete with that. And so I feel like we become disillusioned, and that really, kind of brings us down and our belief in ourselves down, because that's something we can't live up to when it's like, you can tell that's photoshopped. You can tell that's,
right.
No one wakes up full, with full face of makeup and perfect, hair. It's like it doesn't happen. So, and then I think the other thing is dating. I was in the dating world for a short time, God, and learned a lot about just men and women and how different it is than what Disney tries to sell us and what movies try to sell us. And it's like we have this expectation as women that, people are supposed to be a certain way, Prince Charming, and all this, but it's like they aren't like that, not in this current generation, that's not how it works. And a lot of women seem to hang their confidence. I mean, I did, based on men and how they felt about us or relationships or is he going to call me? Oh, he didn't call me. That means, whatever, I should get bigger boobs or whatever, and it's like, that's a terrible place to try to find yourself and try to find confidence. But, for the longest time, that's where I looked because, like, I didn't know any better. So.
Right. So are you in a relationship now, or have you just chosen not to be a part of that to that point?
I am in a relationship now. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So found a good man and then things are better and stuff.
Yes.
Good. Just making sure you didn't hang it up forever or something. You're like, done.
Yeah, done. Just me and my dogs and my kid.
Yeah. Which sometimes people take breaks, I mean, the idea is, I have a girlfriend that, was trying to get back into dating. She's really busy. And it was just like what you're saying. It was just so much extra stress that she was like, you know what, right now I can't deal with this. Like, I need to finish one thing. I can't have 5 things on my list. And this whole dating avenue is just like adding 20. Like, no, I'll
Yeah.
just when the right guy comes, I'll do that, or I'll be proactive later. So
It's like a full-time job, you know?
totally.
Yeah.
And
So,
I've been in my relationship for it's almost 4 years, the end of this month. But I remember I was in between relationships for about a couple of years. And even just 4 years ago, this whole like level of new dating with text messaging was totally different than previous. And then this whole casual movement, which I've been
yes.
thinking about so much, in the idea of like trying to put out some good positive stuff, of like trying to counter it and combat it, because it's so negative. Like, I was getting worked into this whole let's hang out, which, what does hang out mean? It's like
Right.
a lazy way to, like, A, they just want to get in your pants, or B, they just don't want to put out effort, like, of true dates. So then you feel inadequate because you're like, well, why doesn't he want to take me out? And then, am I not good enough? And yeah, so it's this weird, there's this weird thing. And then, like you're talking social media, like there is amazing things, like I'm talking to you, I would never talk to you if I wouldn't. But there's also like casual stuff like Tinder and these hot or not sites and stuff that's really quick to judge, of for people to become trolls even though they don't realize what they're doing, to
Mhm.
just cut people off at the knees because they see one picture and they decide to make opinions on people. It's weird. It's very, I
Yeah.
agree with you. I want to try to figure out how something to help put out a different energy, because yeah, it's gross.
It's very gross. I'm really glad I'm not. It was a very brief time
Yeah.
in my life because it was, and it's funny because I never dated. My ex-husband was my first boyfriend. We were very religious, you know, and
Yeah.
everything. And so once I was thrust into the dating world, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do here.
Yeah. You're like, I don't fit. I need the
Yeah,
guide. How does this work?
right.
How old's your daughter?
She's 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just starting to be old enough to be asking and connected and what, and you're just like, ah.
No, not till you're 30. You can't
Yeah,
don't
exactly.
talk about, don't talk to boys, nothing till you're 30.
Chastity belt, the whole 9
Exactly.
yards.
Lock her in a tower.
Yeah, exactly. Are there areas in your life you feel less confident? If so, why?
Honestly, I feel like I'm less confident in almost all areas of my life. I mean, I look back, I've come a long way, but I look ahead and I feel like there's still so much, I have to go. But, I know myself
Mm-hmm.
and I know that there are more layers to discover and learn. And so, I still struggle with trying to please people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, my biggest area of insecurity is probably being a single mom. Like, I just feel like I'm going to screw it up. It's stressful, it's like, oh my gosh, I have this little person that I'm trying to raise into a woman with confidence and skills and talents and, believes in herself. And yeah, that's all on my shoulders. And so that freaks me out. And so I'm really worried about that myself. So
Yeah, and I think, well, one, you realizing it means that you're going to end up doing a good job. This is what people tell me, because so being a social worker is, my degree background. I'm like, I'm so worried about having kids because I know I'm going to screw them up. They're going to be counseling at 30. So people always tell me, well, if you worry about that, then you're going to do okay because you actually care that you're going to be connected. And I said, that sounds great. You also just want me to procreate. So it's family, like that kind of stuff. But I was going with that. Uh, but it's interesting because, I know you're not alone. Like, so many moms and, family, like, whatever. Like, when you had a kid, they don't give you a guide that's guaranteed to tell you how to make this child to be a great adult that's going to flourish in our society.
they
It's like,
should.
yeah, it's like they make sure your car seat works and then they send you on your way. It's like, what? So yeah, you are not alone. I know that for sure. And I'm sure you're doing a way better job. But yeah, it's just totally check and balance, right? Like, you're like, guess, that didn't work. Okay, try something else.
Right, right.
Communication. But yeah.
I will say that mom guilt is very real.
Oh, I saw a shirt. I'll email it to you, that I just saw on Facebook, of a group that they're selling it. And it says #no shame for my mom game. And they were selling it for the holidays. I was like, man, I need to give that to like every mom I know. That's so awesome. What things do you struggle with in your life, personally or professionally, that hinder you from being confident, and how do you overcome those, Hanssie?
Um, well, it really all boils down to expectation.
Mm-hmm.
I fear not living up to people's expectations of me, my expectations of myself and my life. I mean, probably it all boils down to me being a people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
But, trying to overcome these, I strive to become great, figure
Mm-hmm.
out who I am, continually grow and educate myself as a person, and just do better, be grateful each day, and be nice to people
Yeah.
basically, and help people.
No, that's awesome because I mean, the thing is, you're aware of where your weaknesses are, but you're working at them. The people that don't know what they are the worst because they're not doing anything to change.
Right.
So,
Well, most of the time they don't feel like they need to change. That's the
right, that's
problem.
true. That's even the bigger problem. Yeah, you're totally right on spot there. And we have, I mean, I'm sure you can make a list. Like, yeah, I know 3 of those people right now that, oh man.
Only 3, huh?
Yeah, that was just a quick number. How do you work on continuing to be confident in today's world? Do you feel like you know how to work on your confidence?
I feel like I do. I mean, it's an ongoing process, and it will be for life.
Totally.
I think by constantly discovering who I am, trying to figure out, why I think the way I think, to continue to grow and understand, um, try to figure out what I want to accomplish in my life, coming up with my life goals, my dreams, educating myself using books or podcasts, mentors, and, whatever is at my disposal. And just really, waking up each day and just being thankful for what I have, and grateful for, everything that my life has brought me so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've mentioned multiple times reading, so obviously you're spending a lot of time in books, which is an awesome way to learn for sure.
Yes, I love my books.
What are you reading now? Not to put you on the spot, but any good
um,
stuff or that
let's
you'd
see.
recommend?
Well, I recommend. I just finished The School of Greatness by Lewis Howes.
Was it good?
Yeah, it's a good, but definitely a great book. It breaks down basically how to be great in 8 steps, and so it gives action steps and things. So it's really workable, and gives you a lot of activities, so that you're not just, okay, read it, forget it, and move on to the next book. I'm about to start The Success Principles by Jack Canfield, which I started last year and then I put it down, but I'm going to start again. So I like that one a lot. And then I'm currently creating my book list for next year. So I want to actually, read some, well, make a good game plan for what I'm going to read next year.
No, that's awesome. That's good to hear about Lewis Howes' book, because sometimes, I love books. Like my boyfriend and I get in conversation about this. He reads daily. But sometimes there's these books that are great to be like motivational, but they're a lot of fluff. They just kind of build you up, but they're not, there's nothing substantial to go, okay, I'm on the same page as you, dude or dudette, like, let's do this. But then they never get to that point. But it's nice to hear that his has some action plans. His books, it's on my radar of like, okay, when I get done with the like 4 I just got at the library and the 2 that I ordered, like,
right,
I'm
right.
gonna add that in. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm a total. I always seem to have like 2 or 3 books started, and it's just, and then it just decide on like what my mode is. And yeah, I've done the same thing as you. Like, just sometimes you don't feel a book, and then like 6 months later, you're like, oh, I'm totally into it. And you're like, why wasn't I this way 6 months ago? But whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I believe for a confident woman to live with intention requires bravery. What does it mean to you to be brave in how you live your life?
I feel like being brave is putting yourself out there constantly, being you, no matter what other people think, and more importantly, no matter what you think about yourself. It's like you could be scared out of your mind, but you do it anyway, and and that's what you do.
Yeah. No, that's a really good thought to kind of digest a little bit more of the idea of being yourself even when you don't think you are. Because I don't know about you, but like I swear I mean, we all have dialogue inside our heads, right? But the more you're pushing yourself out of the comfort zone, the more my screams at me of like, you're not doing, what are you doing? You can't do this. You're not confident enough. You can't speak right. You're going to sound stupid, you know? And, um, in those moments, if I would just solely listen to that, I would assume that and believe that I'm all those things. But the reality is that's just fear trying to get me to go back to where it's comfortable and warm and easy.
Right.
So, yeah, it's like even realize, like, no, shut up. I got this. And how to stay confident even when yourself is kind of freaking out. That's a good point, too. Beyond just doing it for other people, because that's easy, right? You just, I mean, not easy, but it's easier. You can shut people out. No, I've got this. But the moments when you're like, I don't think I got this,
Right.
that's even harder to stand up. That's, yeah. I haven't heard that kind of thought, so that's really good. I like it. See, even all like stuffed up, you got good things flowing in there.
I said it must be.
Yeah. Finally, Hanssie, if you had one message to tell women regarding confidence, what would it be?
I would say that everyone is on their own journey. Don't look at what everyone else is doing or how they're doing it. It's like everyone has their own story. You have your own story, and it's a beautiful story, you know, and it's brought you where you are. So that's it.
Yeah, it's so good. And that's kind of where this whole project has come from, too, is this idea of like, be brave, share your story. Because I feel like everyone has something in their story that someone else needs to hear to help them in their lives. And I mean, and I'm not meaning like my story is important to everybody. It's not. But yours is supposed to be heard by somebody. So that's where I'm really motivated to try to get, you know, crazy amounts of people, you know, 1,000 women to hear stuff or interview so that other people can hear it, because that's where I want people to also not be so scared to just speak up and say, like, you do have something of purpose to tell. So share it, because people need to hear that.
I agree.
Cool. Yeah. If you had any last thoughts you'd like to add regarding confidence that we didn't cover?
No, I think that's it.
Awesome. Yeah, no, some really good insight. So thank you so much for taking the time to answer my questions today.
Well, thank you for doing this. It's awesome.
So let me know what you thought of that conversation that I had with Hanssie. It was a blast. I felt that it was insightful, it was motivational and inspiring. If you agree, please leave me a comment below. I need your comments so I know what you're thinking about this project and ways that I can improve it. If it was really empowering to you and you really enjoyed the message, please share it to your family and friends. One, so they can learn about this project, and two, they can get the great information that Hanssie gave to you today. If you would like to be an interviewee, I'm always looking for more volunteers. Please email me at joey@trulyconfidentwomen.com. Let's talk, connect, and get that going. I have about 925 more interviews to go, so I would love volunteers. So please hit me up. And if you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear those as well. And as always, I hope you have a great week. Next week, I got 2 more coming for you. So until then, be brave and share your story. Cheers.